Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Nika Marie, aka Neeks, and I'm here with another video for you. As of late, there has been a trend in publishing, and by trend, I mean something so insidious, something so steeped in racism that I know that I'm not eloquent enough to speak about it as it needs to be spoken about, but here we go anyway. Publishing has an obsession with POC stories as long as they are told from the standpoint of trauma, pain, hurt, and as long as those stories come from a non-POC author's mind. Don't come for me, go for them. I'm not the one doing it. I'm trying to tell happy stories out here. I'm trying to read happy stories out here, okay? It's not me, go for them. It's not my fault. Now, as we all know, Janine Comes-A-Lot got a massive book deal for American Dirt, and it has just a terrible portrayal of the journey of Latinx people trying to get to this country. Now, following that, and I didn't think there would be a follow-up, there is Jennifer Alarc's new hit Brown Cross follows two Mexican brothers as they vow to kill 600 gringos. Who approved this shit? According to this, it is based on true events. Alrighty, that's enough of me reading. And then just this previous week, Publishers Weekly put out an article that was extremely irresponsible and just damning, honestly. So basically, the journalist for Publisher Weekly made it seem like a black woman made a white woman pull her book. What happened was this white woman was writing from the perspective of someone from the Gullah Geechee culture, Gullah Geechee people, and she also wrote about that character being white passing. Now, as a white woman, no matter how much research she has done into the Gullah Geechee people, I'm just gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and say it probably was not comprehensive into how the inner workings of the black community work, including the Gullah Geechee people. That's tasteless, and I don't know anything about that author. The fact that she pulled it of her own accord is commendable, but it also should not have been written, in my opinion. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into all of that today. So the cynical woman inside of me is like, things will get better as long as we keep working on it and keep calling it out and keep educating. But ever since I've seen the hashtag publishing paid me, I don't know. So today I want to run you guys through how we can introduce more POC characters into high fantasy, because that is the most broad genre that I can think of to start with. So before we go anywhere else with this video, it's time for class, kids. Alrighty, class. Welcome to Creative Writing 101. Today's lesson is in character creation. There are only two requirements. One, this character is in a high fantasy environment, meaning you are not restricted by the real world culturally, socially, economically, so get creative. Two, this character must be physically comparable to a black woman. Any questions? Teach. Yes, Problematica? Yeah, is this like a main or a side or like a minor character? Main character for now. Would anyone like to tell us the first step in this process? Ooh, me. Angelica, yes. Aha, yes. First of all, love the shirt, Siege. The first step in character creation is to figure out your character's traits and then put in their internal and external motivations. What do you think about that? Problematica. Thank you, Angelica. And you guys get started. If you need help, I'll be right here. Yeah. Yes, Problematica. What do you want? Yeah, so I know you said we weren't like restricted by real life or whatever, but I just don't think that's true. Explain? Yeah, if I read a story with a black lead who's not weighed down by some real life stereotype, has a complex emotional arc that has nothing to do with trauma or slavery in any kind of form, and she comes off as sure of herself and is skilled in my fantasy world in any kind of way that conveys power creep, which happens in fantasy all the fucking time, then you and I both know that book is not getting published. Yeah, all right, that is a problem. Step 1 to writing a POC comparable character in your high fantasy novel. Make a list of fucking traits that have nothing to do with anything but the story. So, is this character a blacksmith? Is this character a damsel? Is this character a pirate with a chip on their shoulders? Does this character like cheese? What is it about this character that you're trying to insert into the story? Don't think about appearances. Think about things that this character is going to need to get from point A to point B. After you do that, leave your stereotypes at the door. Why? Because stereotypes are going to drag down your story. And when you're writing high fantasy, you're writing outside of all of this, okay? You are outside of all of this. All of the shit that you experience here does not need to be in there. I don't know how many times we need to hear an author say,
it just didn't make sense to have black people in my story.
Because that doesn't make sense. People come in all different shapes and shades, and that's because of things like the sun and genetics and evolution. So it does make sense to have all sorts of different shades in your book, unless you just don't believe in science. But that's a whole different video entirely. Step 2, make your character a fixture in that world. You have created this high fantasy, wonderful, magical world. Now put your character in it and make sure that they belong there. This goes for all of your characters. You have created this person. Now root them in the magic, root them in the buildings, root them in the story, because that's your job as the writer. Again, we're not even thinking about their skin color right now. These are all characteristics, traits, where they're going to be, how they're going to get there, whatever. Step 3, find sensitivity readers. There's a good chance you might accidentally write in a negative trope by accident. So like the magical Negro, the mystic, the sage native, the angry black woman. Hiring sensitivity readers can stop you from making a huge mistake that'll get you into a lot of PR trouble later. Do it. Just like with being an ally, be ready to confront your own internal biases. The fact that high fantasy is so far removed from our real world means that you might write something in there that you didn't even know you thought. So be ready to confront that if you are confronted with it. Now, what that can mean is you wrote in a POC character, but then rooted them in a bunch of real world stereotypes. That is bad. So when a sensitivity reader says, hey, this is not going to work out, you just have to say, got it. We're not saying put in more African people. We're not saying put in more East Asian people or Southeast Asian people. We are saying put in people that would be comparable to those people. Does this make sense? Your book became a movie. Who's playing that character? That's what we want to know. That's what we want to visualize here, because it helps us as well. I hope that made sense. What we're saying is, please avoid being a Janine Cummins. Please avoid being a Jennifer Uholyak. I actually don't know how to pronounce her last name, and I'm very sorry about that. That was not my intent. But I don't know about this premise of the 600 gringos. Explain it. In the end, my real writing advice is to write something that you want people to read and enjoy, all people to read and enjoy. Put your love into that book, because that's your baby. And you want your baby to grow up with love. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Sorry, it was such a hot ass mess. Feel free to give my channel a subscribe. I post videos every Monday, sometimes bonus videos on Fridays. So it's all just like a fun mixed bag of surprises over here. Yeah, this is gonna be a bitch to edit.